I posted a short the other day that was talking about how everyone calls the last 2 months of summer pre-fall for some reason this year. Has anyone else noticed that? It's so funny to me because pre-fall is basically just another way of saying summer. But I know it's a marketing thing, I get it, but it's just kind of funny to me. And it prompted me to want to make this video because I feel like every year, especially something about the summer to fall transitional time, I personally get sucked into wanting to buy so much clothing. I think it's sort of like the back to school mentality of you need a whole new wardrobe. You're going to be a whole new person. You're going to reinvent yourself. And I think to a degree, like that's super fun when you're in school, but I'm 33 and that doesn't really apply to me anymore. And really, I don't think it needs to apply to students even either. So what I'm going to do in this video today is talk about my approach to the summer fall transition and like getting dressed, because I think another reason why people feel like they need to go out and buy stuff is because it's so hard to dress for. You want to lean into the fall mood, but the weather doesn't always cooperate, or the weather gets really cold all of a sudden, but all you have are your summer clothes out, and it's just kind of a confusing time. So I've put together a list of seasonal transitional outfits. That sounds like made up words. Basically, outfit inspirations, formulas, if you will, to get you through these transitional times without feeling like you have to buy things. All of these outfit formulas are meant to build off of what you already have in your closet. Like I'm assuming what you have, but it's open for interpretation. Use your own creativity, use your own imagination. This is just what I go for. And I really needed to remind myself of that as I do every year. So this is almost more for me than anything, just to remind myself of what my little strategies are, but I figured I'd share it with everyone else in case you're interested. The first one's gonna feel a little obvious, but I feel like people forget that this is a perfect time of year to wear your skirts and boots, your shorts and boots. Like that is, to me, one of the peak cutest outfit formulas ever. Whether they're cowboy boots, demonias, Doc Martens, fry boots, whatever, like any kind of boot with a short skirt or shorts, I think is so cute. Another iteration of this that I personally love, especially for fall, is capris and boots. I know right now gauchos or like wide leg capris are really trending, at least on Pinterest and with the fashion girlies that I like to watch. And I love that look too. Now for me, I just don't have any wide leg capris, despite my best efforts all summer long of trying to get wide leg capris, gauchos, bloomer pants. Like it just never happened for me. And I think I'm gonna have to make a pair now that I'm a sewing expert. But anyway, I love this. And especially with boots, it's the cutest ever. And I think you can make it look really professional for work. Do like a heeled square toe boot or with a fry boot and kind of make it look a little bit more utilitarian and workwear inspired, with a rain boot and kind of lean into fisherman core. I think fisherman core was perfect for the spring, but I think it's also perfect for fall. There's something about mixing of delicate cottons with the more coarser wool and rubber and leathers, like that still works for fall, and it's so cool. So anyway, all that to say, get out your boots and shorts, skirts, obviously, but try it with capris. If you're a capri person, that is, try it with capris. If you have a pair of gauchos or you have a pair of wide leg pants that you want to cut off and repurpose into gaucho pants, I try not to give destructive advice like that, like cutting up your clothes, but it's also just like, it's so satisfying. The other one that is truly transitional from summer, I feel like the white ribbed tank top with a patterned midi skirt was so big in the summer. It was all over my Pinterest boards. It was one of my favorite outfits to just wear in general. And I feel like, again, for the fall, it's such perfection. A midi skirt, whether it's silk, cotton, satin, wool, whatever, with just a basic tank top is such an understated, almost undressed and undone look, but in the most intentionally cool way. And I think for fall, obviously, to bring this into cooler weather, you could do a boot with it, a heeled boot, a cowboy boot. There's so many fun ways to play around with that. And then a layer on top is so easy because you could do a cardigan, you could do a jean jacket. Jean jackets are probably my least favorite layering technique lately. I just feel like it's so overdone. But Ooh, like a poncho or a shawl. I know that was really big in the summer. So if you acquired a poncho or a shawl, doing that as an overlayer, especially for the days that are just like a little bit too back and forth, like being cold and hot and cold and hot. I think that's such a perfect look. Or you could get out one of your wool sweaters from your winter bins and throw it on over a satin skirt with a pair of cowboy boots. But then you have just a plain tank top underneath that you can take it off and it looks perfectly appropriate for a late summer pre-fall outfit. I think that's so cute. Okay, another outfit formula essential for transitional times is dresses over pants. Listen, I am a tunic girl. I loved tunics. I still love tunics. I literally just made one last week. If you didn't catch that video, started my sewing journey. What do? One of the first things I make is a long tunic style top. I don't think they're being called tunics anymore because tunic isn't cool, but that's basically what it is. What I'm referring to is a long line top or a mini dress over a pair of pants. Something about that silhouette in general, that is a go-to of mine as an outfit formula that I know is going to always be comfortable for me because it's the same feeling of putting on a big oversized sweater that covers your butt and a pair of leggings. You know what I mean? But a tunic typically has a little bit more shape. And if you're doing like a mini dress over pants, then it definitely has more shape. And I know you have some mini dresses in your closet from the summertime. It gives you the like bare shoulder moment if it's still hot out, but it kind of just reinvents your summer pieces a little bit. So if you're sick of wearing that same mini dress you've been wearing all summer, try it with a pair of pants, try it with a pair of flared leggings. It could be so cute. Also doing skirts as tops during this time. Again, something that I was really vocal about in the springtime. If you're sick of looking at the things again, try wearing them a little differently. Try wearing them the wrong way because it'll just open your eyes to so much new potential for your wardrobe and it can make it so much more fun to wear. There's one skirt that I got that I will never wear as a skirt again because I just like it so much more as a top now that I can't unsee it. I used to love it as a skirt, but now it's my top to wear with jeans. Now it's my glorified tunic that I wear, especially in the fall and spring because it's so cute. Okay, these next two tips kind of go together and they're really the staple tips or advice that I like to fall back on when I'm just having a hard time getting dressed in general, whether it's transitional time, mid-season. If I'm having a hard time picking out an outfit, I generally try one of these things to put together an outfit, and they're ironically opposites, but they work the same. So let me explain. The first one is pattern mixing. I like to look for patterns that don't look like they could be friends. Okay, I want them to look like they're actually more like family members, like brothers that are 13 months apart. Not quite twins, but they were made in the same era. They play the same games. Can you tell I have two boys close together in age? Like, I'm so dumb with my metaphor, but you get the idea. So I like to pick patterns that don't necessarily match, but have the same tonal patterns to them. In other words, the lighter colors of the patterns match each other, or the darker colors of the patterns match each other. So one of my favorite outfits that I put together last year was this mini skirt with a cardigan sweater. And the cardigan sweater was a cream and dark blue stripe, but the skirt was gingham with a sage green and a cream to it. So the creams matched, the patterns didn't match at all, but it went really nicely together and the tones were right. And I'd been wearing those things separately throughout the summer, maybe not so much the cardigan, but I'd been wearing the skirt all summer, like with lightweight cotton tops. And I just hadn't even thought to mix and match that. So actually looking at that skirt and being like, okay, I want to wear this skirt because it's comfy and it's hot out today, but it might get a little chilly later. Like, what can I look at in my closet that could go with this? And even if you don't think it goes, like giving it a shot might spark something. Obviously, if you're into being like super out there and interesting in your color and pattern choices, I think that's amazing. But if you're scared of pattern mixing because you're like, well, I don't, first of all, own a lot of patterns, or I'm not really interested in getting a lot of attention for my outfit, I think that's a good rule of thumb to follow, if you will. And then on the other side of the coin would be a monochromatic outfit. I think monochromatic outfits will always be cool, especially an all black outfit will always be cool any season. If you're in a style rut and you can't decide what you want to wear, put on an all black outfit, okay? But monochromatic outfits in general, especially if you have a favorite color, the chances that you own a piece of clothing in that color, or like at least tonally matching in that color, are pretty high. They don't have to be the perfectly matched same color like as a black on black outfit would be, but just try the different tones. Like if you love the color blue, you probably have quite a few different blue shirts, potentially blue skirts or blue pants. Mix them together, see if it comes out with something. It doesn't necessarily lean into any one specific season, but it can be a refreshing way. Look at your clothes a little differently if you've been wearing the same thing every day. And the last one on my list here is not so much an outfit formula, but more so just a tip of being mindful of color palettes, because I think what can feel so off about this transitional time is that you're looking around, and especially for me, I live in a very temperate climate, so things are starting to die. It's not as green anymore. The foliage outside physically looks different than it did a month ago. It is starting to feel like the harvest season, a different time of year. And so for me, it's like, well, yeah, you can keep wearing your summer clothes because it's 90 degrees out and you should continue to wear your summer clothes. But a pastel floral dress just doesn't hit the same when there's like dead leaves falling everywhere. Like it's starting to feel a little out of season. Personally, I feel a little off if I don't like match my environment. Do you know what I mean? So I like to look to nature to be inspired. What colors am I seeing? And I think when we think about fall, we tend to think about browns and grays and dark blues even, and kind of like dark academia and whimsy goth and all of those really earthy tones. And there's nothing wrong with those. I think, again, if that's your vibe, like amazing. But for me personally, I like to broaden my horizon a little bit. I like to look at what kind of florals are going on. Jewel tone florals that are just naturally growing. You have sunflowers, zinnias, gladiolas. I'm looking at a flower arrangement I got last week. It's a different vibe than summer, but they're still florals and there's still pinks and reds and delicious jewel tones, and there's still color and fun in that. For me, I like to take a look at my wardrobe. Maybe those really super summery things, like again, like a pastel floral dress, is not something I'm going to be reaching for again. I'm going to take it out of my closet, first of all, so it's not in my way anymore. But also, I'm going to look for more jewel tone colors that match the season, but are still weather appropriate. I totally forgot to add that changing your accessories can be a game changer. All spring and summer long, I was wearing my little orchid earrings and they felt so springy and summery and perfect. I thought about actually making another pair of those floral earrings out of like a zinnia or something. I think could be so fun because I still like having a big flower in my hair, or like fruit, little pears or something. That could be so cute. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Back to the video. So throw some color in there. Be inspired by your surroundings. Pick a color palette that makes sense to you. It doesn't even have to make sense to the season. Pick one that makes sense to you for this next time. And if you do feel like buying things, try to buy things within that color palette, because maybe you'll be interested in doing that color palette again next year. Or maybe it's showing you that, gosh, I really don't have very many neutrals, so I do need to buy some of those. So I think going through each of these is a good way to just kind of stop and think about not only what you already have in your wardrobe and how you can repurpose it and use it for these sort of weird weather changing, seasonal changing times, but also what you need, what you're missing, what would make your life easier. And of course, I'm always a proponent of thrifting those things or getting them secondhand if you do find that you need things in your wardrobe, but that's just me. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. It was helpful for me. Again, it was kind of therapeutic to like go through and be like, okay, what do I want to wear today? Okay, I'm going to wear this yellow shirt because I saw a yellow leaf on the ground today and I'm inspired by yellow, so I'm going to wear yellow. It sounds so dumb. Let me know what your summer to fall transitional tips are, what your go-tos are, what your outfit formulas are. I love to constantly be inspired, obviously. I have a whole fall trends list that I'm putting together right now, things that are trending for me. So I'd love to hear what things are trending for you, things you're seeing a bunch that you're loving right now, just to see if there's any alignment there. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to. You can catch me on Instagram, TikTok. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.